Welcome, sir. I'm going to go ahead and lead this session off with reading what you already told me here. So, he says, quick background. He's been playing on and off since Warcraft 3 days. He used to be 4K, but quit the game cold turkey for about 8 months and came back to play with friends on an AD2L team. I got to 4K playing mid mostly, but swapped back to position 1, which has been his favorite position usually, and recalibrated. Just lost for a really long time and dropped as low as 2200. But I learned some of the OP heroes this patch and have climbed my way back to 3K. I guess I want to focus on what to do in lane because I always thought my laning was good in mid, but it's just a lot different in 2v2 setups, and honestly, once I realized I was bad at laning in position 1, I started looking at resources like your coaching videos to see how to improve. I picked a couple of games. The first one, he did really well in lane, but at least he thinks, and we lost. A game we won, and the second one is a game I won, but I did poorly in lane. I think it's more because of my starting item choices being too greedy to be able to last hit reliably. Okay. It's funny. I get a varying amount of context going into every coaching session. Obviously, that's on the higher side. No problem with that. Seems like there's a decent amount of people in your situation where they leave Dota and come back for various reasons. Obviously, Dota, one of the beauties of it, but also one of the worst parts about it is that taking a break is pretty hard to overcome.
Banana slam giant.
I got your synopsis, so it sounds like you're about 3K right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you, other than what I've already read, do you have anything you want to talk about before we delve into the first game?
I don't really think so.
Okay.
That's a good place to start from. And then just want to see what I can do better in games where I think I'm doing well, and then definitely how to fix games that I do poorly in the lane. Because I feel like I play from ahead really well, and if my team is doing okay, I'm good at catching up if I had a bad lane. But in games where I have like just a bad start and my team is not doing well as well, I can't find the space on the map to get back up to snuff.
I got you. So, what a lot of people don't realize is if I were to actually watch my own games, I'm really never going to do it because it's actually just, I don't know, it's kind of like listening to your own voice when I say, like, watching my own game on stream and shit. I could flame the shit out of myself, like, almost as much as I flame you guys, just because, obviously, I'd be harder on myself, too, but the fact is, everyone makes mistakes, and there's always something to learn from in a game, so I like that you gave me 2 different games, like, games where you think 2 different things went wrong, and I think we'll be able to bash a lot more than what you think you did wrong. So that's the good part. It's amazing how many times I'm in these sessions where things are repetitive, but they're expressing themselves in different ways, so people don't always recognize, even though I've done coaching on this before, that it's also their problem too. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share. Looks like you're against a Marana Clockwork, most likely, in lane, and you're against a lot of squishy farming heroes in the Medusa and the Drow. So let's see what you decide to do here. Starting items are reasonable. I would say against Marana Clock, I'm much more likely to be taking consistent damage rather than a lot of damage at once. So I probably would have started 6 tangos, but relatively small thing there. The Jukes.
My ogre killed their Medusa.
I see that. So, first and foremost, seems really small, but oddly enough, going into the lane, I thought I wasn't on your player perspective because the camera was just sitting over here. So, one of the first things that actually comes into skill in general is, like, there's a million things that I can watch you do that tell me all about what you're thinking and what matters to you and all that kind of stuff. One of the most important ones that often, honestly, is like kind of random, like meaning I don't see it too often. I'd probably say like 10 to 20% of my students I could probably bash on this pretty hard. You're just wasting like half your screen right now. Do you realize that?
Yeah, I was trying to spot for Marana arrows coming from that direction.
I see.
So
Okay. That kind of makes sense. Then I would say you're wasting this third here.
Okay.
Up here. The big thing is that you want to be doing what you're doing, where you're maintaining lane equilibrium while your ogre is bullying. But I think you also want to be posturing yourself, if possible, in a situation where if Clockwork's running at the ogre, and if you run at the clock at that moment, the Clockwork is forced to back off. So you're kind of like protecting your Clockwork, or excuse me, your ogre from like that extra 100 damage or something that he's going to take. And if Clockwork continues to commit, maybe you even do a lot of damage to him, you know? The idea is that I know there's this engagement going on between your support and their support, or sorry, their core, and I just don't know, I don't have any idea what's happening, like, from watching the game from your perspective. So, that's my best advice there, is to really think about what's going on in the lane, what matters to you. Like, even now, like, this needs to be trimmed off, and I need to see everything down here, everything over here. Like, I don't know what's going on at all. You don't have to always see it, but I definitely should have, like, some semblance of an idea of what's occurring here. Like, I almost feel like what happens here, in my eyes as a spectator, is I have no idea how this formulated. I'm like, oh shit, there's a party. Am I invited? Like, what's happening here? Like, that's my perspective. And I think a lot of people watching can kind of, like, understand what I'm going for here. You want the game seen through your eyes to be as clear as possible to the people watching from your perspective. Obviously, it means that the game's not clear to you. Like, there's no way that I can watch your perspective, have no idea what's going on, and you can know what's going on. You know what I mean? So that's something to really focus on. And other than that, like, your lane equilibrium and stuff is great, but yeah, we'll continue moving on. I don't have to keep harping on that. It is really important, though. Gave up a range creep to micro your courier. I don't hate it, but something you definitely try to avoid. That's a really important time that you don't aggro the Clockwork here. Right now. Why? Why is it, like, really bad to go on the Clockwork right now?
Because I only have 2 range creeps next to me if you battery assaults.
It's not that. It's that these 2 range creeps need to fucking die, bro. Like, they need to die, right? So a lot of lane equilibrium understanding is understanding that when the next 2 creep waves meet, so this one right here and yours that's coming in here, the 2 creep waves need to be as close to, like, equal as possible at that very moment. So right now, notice the problem is that if you leave these 2 range creeps alive, that's, like, really bad. So it's just a trigger. I've been talking to Ari a lot during my sessions about these, like, triggers, like things that need to be thought about by you when something specific in the game happens. So when the next creep wave arrives, this needs to be thought about by you. Like, let's reset the lane as best as possible. Sometimes it's just not possible, you know, like sometimes you just can't. But this is a situation where you absolutely can. You just have to let these creeps go to your range. You just have to let them. Instead of this extra 1 hit you got on the Clockwork there. Okay. So what I notice about your lane equilibrium is basically that you have a good understanding of how to keep it in place, but the minute it goes out of place, you don't know what to do about it, basically.
Well, usually I'll pull the hard camp, but I just felt like I could be aggressive there.
Well, what I'm saying is that same move could have been done, like, right here, because you managed the 2 range creeps better. So your entire move of being aggressive could be done right here rather than up here. So, like, when I talk to people about creating these scenarios in Dota, it's all about just having the statistically most likely probability of whatever you're doing to work. Like, that's all it is. So your play, if it works right here, it would 100% work right here. You know what I mean? But not the other way around. And maybe if you did it right here, the Clockwork, you don't tank, like, 5 tower shots for doing it.
Yeah, I have to salve here for doing it.
This is just things I'm mentioning, right? And so what I'm saying is, like, you did a great job of maintaining lane equilibrium here, but the minute it starts to go out of whack, it's like being on a tightrope. If you fall a little bit to the right, if you don't immediately fix it, you're going to keep falling and falling and falling and falling. You know, like, it's exponentially like you can't salvage it at some point. So the point is that it requires maintenance. Lane equilibrium is your little baby. I used to say that, and I'm just showing you the punishment of not having these 2 range creeps die for you. Like, yes, you still get the kill, great, but you do have to pop your salve. Lane's still at his tower. Maybe actually better that it's at his tower for this rare occasion, just because he's missing all these creeps, but... Okay, so you try to get the pull off.
Dire structures are fortified.
Yeah.
Not what you expected.
You about boots in it or like that.
Regeneration.
Anyone here know what a dead lane is?
You're the type of guy that stacks instead of pulls. XD. Okay, moving on here. Let's see.
Get back.
Really get in the habit of this downtime being way more efficient than it is.
Get back.
So, like, you could be sitting right here and just get XP for all the creeps that are dying while you're sitting back. You could maybe even be contesting the lane. This is, like, way too far back. That is, like, ridiculous. You're missing an entire range creep for this, like, of XP and farm. This is, like, way too cautious with the way you're positioning.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
You came too close to what is mine.
Double damage.
Players here. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. It's up.
You're a confusing player to watch. So there's times like earlier where there was like a double creep wave for you or like a double range creep, and you like ran after this clockwork relentlessly in the trees and missed 2 or 3 creeps for it. You might have gotten the kill. It didn't really matter to me at that point. But then there's this clockwork that's fighting your ogre at like no health, and you just ignore it to go get a 1 range creep. Like that to me, I'm just kind of like confused. Are you trying to fight them or are you trying to farm? Like,
I'm just trying to push them off the creep wave so I can farm.
okay,
So I don't think my objective is to kill them really ever. But I
okay,
know
so
I
to
can.
me, the way I judge it is if I'm aggressive, how much am I accomplishing while I'm aggressive, and how much am I missing by being aggressive? So earlier you were like pushing him off the wave but missing 3 creeps. How is that any better than missing 1 creep and going and like fighting this guy right now? Like he's farming a big camp with your ogre too, right? So
I think I just was like, I just chased this Mirana for like 12 seconds and I did nothing, and then I knew I was missing creeps, so I just wanted to run
I
back
see.
there.
So really
And
just
I
try to
wasn't-
think about when you're leaving the lane, start to pay. It's actually something that comes with it, like over time understanding. Based on how many creeps are alive on both sides, you'll get a good idea over time of how many creeps you're going to miss and what the lane's going to look like when you come back to it. For like depending on how long you're going to be aggressive for. So all I'm telling you now is to start paying attention to that and know that it really goes into your decision about like how many creeps I'm going to be missing, how long I'm going to be gone for, like how long do I think I'm willing to chase this guy for, all that kind of stuff. at this point, the time you spent chasing Mirana, you missed all the creeps already. Like, you missed 3 of the 4 creeps. You know, there's no reason at this point to go back. Like, if there's anything else to do. So usually, like, I can't give you exact times, but, like, if the creep waves meet each other, if you leave for, like, 15 seconds, 3 of the creeps are going to be dead already. So if you leave for 15, you might as well leave for 30. You know what I mean? Like, because that's how long it is until the next creep wave.
Yeah.
That's why I say 30. Yeah, just think about it that way. Just start paying attention. I don't really have, like, paying attention to that behavior. Otherwise, you start doing this where you're like, should I have been there? Should I have helped? Like, what, you know.
Yeah.
That whole,
I will
like,
say I'm confused in general about playing, like, aggressive carries, because I've always been, like, the sit-back and farm type of player, but I know that that is not always the right thing to do.
Radiant
Yeah.
structures are
So
So
some
what
of the
I'm
things
telling
are
you
just-
is it really boils down to, like, how much you're missing in order to be aggressive. Like, and so it's, like, honed aggression. Like, that's what when I say honed, it's like you are calculating exactly how much you're gaining from being aggressive and how much you're missing. Why am I on Mirana's items? There we go. So, what's your problem when it comes to killing these guys? Like, what's the issues you're facing as a hero? Do you not hit hard enough?
No, I hit hard enough. They're pretty squishy.
Okay, so then what would be your only thing stopping you from farming / killing them?
Probably HP regen.
And?
I think it's mana regen.
Okay, so if we're talking about a hero like PA, what is her issue when she's trying to kill people early on in the game? Like, super early on, like 6 minutes.
She's squishy.
Isn't it that she doesn't do enough damage? She hits for like 60?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I'm PA in an ideal world, what component of Battle Fury am I going for first?
One of the damage items.
If
probably
I'm
the
Ursa in an
Broadsword.
ideal world, which one of the components of a Battle Fury am I going for first?
Either Ring of Health or Void Stone.
Yeah,
depending on
absolutely, right? You're going for one of the regen items. So you're in a perfect lane and you took the damage item. I just want you to think about this, right? Like, Ursa doesn't need the damage. He doesn't need that.
Okay.
As long as you're spamming Earthshock and you're hitting creeps and you're running at heroes, you don't need damage. Like, I understand you hit for 78, obviously. Very deceiving, though, how much you actually hit for. Think about the problems your hero faces. Think about the strengths of your hero. You know, what to play around, all that kind of shit. So. Definitely ulted way late there.
Yeah.
You knew that, though, I'm sure. Usually, if I don't have a Ring of Health yet, I'll even ult just to keep health. You know, I'll ult as I run into tower range kind of thing.
Do you think it would have been better if I tanked the arrow and let the ogre?
Yeah, you could have ulted and tanked the
Like
arrow.
ulted to tank the arrow. Okay.
Yeah, you could have. I thought about that, but that's a pretty small thing, and yeah, that's good
Dire's
though. It
middle
would have been
tower
good.
is under attack.
I see Matumba Man level is overpower, but I'm just gonna tell you, you're being like way too liberal with it. Like, it's 55 mana. You just spend 2 of them, now 3 of them. You just don't need to, man. I want you to think like, okay, what did that camp dying a second sooner accomplish for you?
Nothing.
Like, why aren't you laning? Where are you going? Are you afraid of something? Are you afraid of the Drow Medusa gank? What are you afraid of here?
I guess all 3 of the supports / off lane.
Did these 3 heroes kill you? Or are you like scared of these guys? Am I missing something?
I have a hard time judging how strong I am on heroes that are new to me.
Okay,
so, like,
absolutely.
I know,
No, so I'm asking you now in hindsight, like, do these 3 heroes kill you or what?
Not right now.
Like, if
'cause
they
I
go
have
on you with
level
clock,
advantage.
what's your reaction? Like, if they hook you with clock, what happens?
Punch him or jump out.
Yeah.
If I had mana.
Okay, so all you have to do is have mana, right? So I'm giving you answers on how to play your lane, on like how to spend your spells, how to buy your items. You know, you see like what you're doing wrong and how I'm coming to the right conclusion for myself. Okay, cool. As long as that comes to your attention after this, that's the goal. Obviously, I didn't expect it to be right going in, because that's why you're here. Okay. When it comes to what I used to do back in like 6.83 and shit was that I would just spin spells to farm, period. Like if there was a creep camp that needed to die faster, I would spend spells on it. Or, like, meaning if I had spells to spam, I would spam them. If Juggernaut Spin was off cooldown, I'd use it. If Dark Pact on Slark was off cooldown, I'd use it. And at one point, this, like, revelation came to me where, say I walk into a campus Slark at 50 seconds, like 12:50 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I use one pact. And that one pact plus 7 seconds of right-clicking is enough to kill that camp by the 13-minute mark. In the past, I would have just double Dark Pact it because it kills the camps faster. But why would I double Dark Pact, spend an extra 60 mana when the camp's going to die by 13 minutes anyways? Like, why would I do that? Do you see what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
I want you to think about, if you're spending spells such as this Overpower to walk into a camp and kill it faster, why are you killing it faster? Like, where are you in a rush to go to? And I'm not telling you shouldn't use spells.
I was thinking I could get the big camp and the small camp before I had to come back for the next wave. But I mean, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so that's what if that's what you're trying to do, then that's reasonable. I think you are constantly going to clear this. Okay, with how strong you are right now, what camp would be better than your own small camp?
The Ancients.
Dude, you're fucking top right now.
No.
Is there a new camp in top I forgot about?
No,
okay,
no.
Continue.
It would be their side, I guess?
Yeah, it's their side. Why are you scared to go to their side? So the way I think about this is, if I run into their triangle, at this point in the game, if I'm winning my safe lane, what heroes am I usually most scared of punishing me if I run into their area? Like, rolls.
The offlaner and the 4 usually, but...
Really? You won your lane, you crushed this guy, and you're scared of the offlaner at 12 minutes? Who are you usually
I'm saying what I'm
scared of?
usually scared of is those. Whoever
No. 12 minutes into the game.
mid?
Who are you? Yeah, the fucking mid laner. Come on, dude. Are you serious? Come on. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a Medusa.
So, are you scared at all of Medusa at 12 minutes into the
No.
game? If that's a Storm Spirit, would I be like, being like, hey, man, like, or a Quap? Yeah, man, go into their jungle. Go. Would I be telling you that? No. Right? Because those heroes can easily kill you. Like, those heroes threaten you. Those heroes are a part of the gank. You can run around like an absolute fucking madman this game. Their carry is a Drow and their safe laner, or their mid laner's a Medusa. I'm not telling you to dive towers, but you can just run around taking their farm all over the place. Next person to tell me they're most scared of the offlaner at 12 minutes, like, come on, bros. Like, fucking mid laners.
Well, I'm saying that because I usually lose my...
Okay. Fair enough. That's fair. Okay. So. Let me see if I have the right suspicion here. Yeah.
Yeah, I de-ward this, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, cool. The minute I see that, I just buy a fucking Sentry, and I'm like, what are you fucking doing, bro? You just revealed a ward to me for a small creep. Okay.
No, I pinged it out at least, yeah.
Yeah, you got it, okay. What are you thinking about this? Do you get what I'm going at with here? Before
Maybe
I say
should
anything.
have gone in there?
I don't see fucking shit, bro. I don't know anything. I have no idea what's going on in this fight. I have absolutely no fucking clue. I couldn't tell you
Medusa's
anything.
ult, and I saw we whiffed the Ravage, so I didn't think that we could fight, but I didn't really check
But
it.
what I'm saying is, how do you know that? I have absolutely no idea. Like, what if you check their mana and none of them have any mana, and you look and see that your puck still has ult, and you're like, oh, cool. Like, my point is that it's the same problem in the lane as it is now. I just have absolutely no fucking clue what's going on here. Like, the funny thing is when I said it was weird watching your lane and game and shit, is I want to correct your decision making in this fight, but I want to do it based on what you see and what you can use in your own games. And the problem, I'm just going to tell you straight up, is that I just don't see anything. Like that. So the fix to this to improve your decision making before I can even go further, to be honest with you, is that your camera work just needs to be way better. Like, it actually needs to be the core focus of your next, like, 50 games. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to go ahead and, like, throughout the course of this session, I'll probably mention other things that it impacted you on, but I'm also going to try to give you things to work on past that, so it's not like all you came from this session was your camera work's bad, work on it. But I do want you to realize that all the stuff that I talk about and, like, preach to my players that I'm coaching, it can't be done correctly if your camera work is this bad. Like, it just can't. So I do believe the only limitation on your decision making right now is that, which can be looked at as a positive as well. You know, it's like, well, maybe if I fix this, my decision making will be way better.
Okay.
Whenever you're farming, whenever you're doing things and your hero is safe, or at least you think you are safe, so the first step is to establish at all times in the game whether or not you think you're safe. I want that to be the first step. As I kind of speak out loud, I realize the way I come to this. So first and foremost, you need to try to understand if your hero is in danger or safe. You need to make an educated guess, and if you're not sure, lean on the side of you are safe, okay? Lean on that side. Like, you are strong enough to be... What I mean by safe is, like, if I move my camera away and somebody goes on me or I run into somebody, am I going to die? Like, that's what I mean by safe. In this game, you could look away from your hero for, like, half a second and you're just never going to die. Like, meaning, in that half second, you're not going to die because you looked away for half a second. On heroes like Drow, on the other hand, if I step out of position for half a second, I could die, right? So my point being, though, is if you establish to yourself whether or not you're safe or in danger, every time you're safe, you should feel like you have the option to look somewhere else. Like, in this fight right now, are you safe in this given moment, right?
Yeah.
Then if that's the case, your camera view should never be centered on your hero. Because your hero doesn't matter. Do you see what I mean? Like, your only reason your camera's on your hero is if you're currently doing something, like a last hit, or you're currently in danger, so you have to be, like, monitoring your own positioning, like, really well. So that's, like, the number one trigger for me personally. Like, if I'm in danger, I'm locked on my hero, ready to react in whatever way I need to. So yeah, same issue as the lane. A lot of times when I preach on people's mistakes in lane, it's because I'm a firm believer that the same mistakes you do at the 5-minute mark will manifest themselves in other ways later on in the game. This was a perfect example of what I was talking about in the laning phase, hurting you in the team fight. Okay. I do think you should... what I was going to say on top of this is that when you're playing heroes like Ursa, man, your improvement will be way quicker if you're just diving some fucking tower. Like, if you take that fight right there and you just run in and die. Like, you'll get way better at the game if you run in and die there than if you're, like, just playing like a pussy. Like, you'll actually just get way better. What I mean is, okay, I'm not telling you to run in and die, but I'm telling you that I would rather you err on the side of aggression than...
Like, push the boundaries so you know where to pull back.
Yeah, push the boundaries, exactly. I would rather see that. I think right now your playstyle as a carry could easily get you to, like, 4 or 5k, meaning, like, you could climb all the way back to 4 or 5k, but eventually, if you play this passively, it's just not going to work anymore, because you do have to push the boundaries to, like, you're going to hit a wall eventually, right? Like, that's the result of this. So I would rather you start working on it now, and maybe in the short term be hindered, but in the long term you will hit that wall much later than you would otherwise. So, okay. Let's see here. So overall, your farming patterns are pretty efficient, like pretty reasonable stuff.
Except for I should be taking their side's farm.
At this point, I'd say it's a little bit different. I think if your team's playing aggressive like that, how do I word this? You're actually going to lose farm by playing with your team right now. Earlier, you would have been getting just as much farm, but you would have been doing it more aggressively.
Okay.
I don't know how else to better describe that, but I want you to think about that in every game you're in. If there's a farming camp that you can do that gives you the same amount of farm, but it is aggressive, That's what aggressive farming means. A lot of people misinterpret aggression as like being inefficient, being, you're slowing yourself down in order to slow the opponent down. A lot of times, aggression just means like, I understand I'm strong enough to farm this camp instead of this one. Like, that's what it means. So, right now, if you were to be here, you would actually be like fighting and shit, right? Because you have two teammates, there's opponents. That would kind of hinder you a bit. So I'm not telling you not to do that, but I'm telling you right now, it's not strictly better. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is a conscious choice. This is the efficiency choice. This is the, like, aggression choice. Earlier, it was simply bad for you to farm the small camp compared to their camps. Do you see the difference there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I do have a question, though. So generally, like, you say that, like, don't play the dead lane unless you're winning your lane like this. So that's one of the reasons I stayed. But I am curious, in retrospect, should I have gone and played against the Drow? I feel like at this point in the game, I can't really kill the Drow, so I was kind of afraid to go do it.
Okay.
Because the Drow was really farmed too. She killed like the Tide and the Grimstroke like 5 times.
My question is, if both you and Drow are farming, are you okay with that or not okay with that? Like, just guessing.
I feel like I should have been okay with that because I had a Battle Fury.
Okay. So that's the first step. I'm going through the logical questions you need to ask yourself every game, okay?
This is why I didn't go after Drow, actually.
So this needs to be the stuff that
I out-farm her.
So you out-farm her. So then if you're out-farming her, you have to understand, like, if I'm out-farming her, at what point do I deal with her? Or, like, do I want to interact with her? Right? Like, that's then what I ask myself. Like, if I out-farm her and I'm content farming, at what point do I no longer just want to farm? So, against Drow, when does that happen in your eyes? Like, at what point are you really good at dealing with Drow?
Usually just if you get an Abyssal Blade.
Okay. So then, if I think Abyssal Blade is how I deal with her, how do I decide what items I want to go? Like, other than Abyssal Blade. So, what we've now said is my farming is going to primarily end when I get Abyssal. So then how do I decide when to get Abyssal? Like, why don't you just go Abyssal next item?
I guess I was just kind of locked into, like, the build I'd been playing.
Okay.
To go S and Y after Battle Fury and then decide on your next
So
item.
when you're getting better, when you're new to carry, I'm absolutely fine with you kind of just copy-pasting builds and getting used to that playstyle. My point is that in the future, past, like, all these things I've told you to work on, and, like, once you feel a bit more comfortable, the knowledge you can take from this is, like, okay, I feel content farming, so I'm going to farm. If you go on Drow, does she have the potential to, like, turn a gank on you? Like,
yeah, with Gust.
With Gust plus, like, 1 or 2 heroes.
Yeah, and
right?
her slow arrows.
So that's something that immediately scares me. It's like, if I'm playing PL against Drow and I have a Manta, dude, even if I'm still in farm mode, I'll run at the guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'll run at him because I just don't care. I'm not scared of anything he offers. But since you are scared of him, you don't really want to deal with them right now. So the first step is, like, if you're both content farming, okay, cool. The next step is, if I'm content farming, am I farming near this guy or away from this guy? So my argument would be, is there an item you could buy where you'd be content farming near this guy?
Manta?
Yeah. So I would probably argue that Manta might be better this game. Because S and Y is really only better if they have a lot of lockdown, and you're concerned about getting, like, bursted before you pop your ultimate. Like, that's how I look at S and Y as Ursa, which is a lot of games. Like, that's why it's often bought. But
this is kind of funny.
Go ahead.
Because a week or so ago, I bought a Manta on Lifestealer because the only way they could kill me was Skywrath Mage getting a silence.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, in that case, I'll go BKB
and I got
or
flamed
Manta.
for it.
Yeah, I'll go BKB or Manta on Lifestealer in those type of situations. The point is that the way I look at Ursa's kit is, since his ult is so broken right now, that if I get my ult off, I live. So all I care about is surviving long enough to get my ult off. So is status resistance the way to go, or is Manta the way to go? I would say the majority of the games you go S and Y, but then at the same time, I just did a replay analysis of Matumba Man's game, and he was against Ricky TA, and they had, like, Diffusal and Cloud and all that kind of shit. Bunch of single target damage, and he went Manta, right? So the whole idea is, how do you get your ult off? And a lot of games it's going to be the SNY, but this game, also because you want to run at this drow, I think Manta would be great here, personally. So the point that I want to make is I think your idea of farming here was correct, but I also want to give you some clear-cut reasons why you're correct. And I want you to be able to ask yourself these questions in the future games so that even if you are not 100% sure, you can at least be confident in the way you were thinking about it. You know, you'll be like, okay, I was thinking about it this way, I'm going to be more confident. So my question is, would you say these branches are like an efficient use of slots right now?
No.
Okay, so in the time you're playing, what do you need to farm faster or participate in fights better or whatever? Like, what do you think you need right now?
Clarities.
Well, clarity is fine, sure, like, that's assumed. But, like, let's fill out these item slots. Because the next slot's going to be a Yasha, right? So what I look at it is you have a Yasha and you have one other slot. So what should go there, in your humble opinion?
A Windlace, maybe?
You have two choices, Windlace or what?
Oh, Wand.
Yeah, that's your two choices. That's all there is to it. Which one do you want this game? I'm asking you.
Probably the Windlace because of the Ice Blast.
Okay, and you don't really need mana, I think. Like, they don't have any mana burn or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So, I just want to do what I'm doing a little bit faster. That's kind of how I think about it. I don't need a Wand to fight them. You know, if it's like a Diffusal PL, I'd probably go Wand here instead of Lace. But the point is that you have two open slots, you're filling one of them with a Yasha. Windlace is like, usually the cheaper the item, the more valuable it is for how much gold it costs. Right? Yeah. Because the only limitation is that at that point, slots. Right. So yeah, I would just hate to think that you're skipping out on that Windlace here. So that's a small little thing here. Okay.
Radiant's top tower is under Radiant's top tower. Radiant's middle tower.
Also with Ogre, Windlace is even better. It gives you like 24 movement speed or something.
Unstoppable.
Okay, so you're gonna run bottom.
Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I think as soon as I get these Vampire Fangs, I ask to smoke to Roche too. I don't know if it happens.
I'm gonna start talking to you about map awareness, okay? So here's how it works. We're farming jungle. What general things would you think I would tell somebody to think about when they're farming jungle?
Watch for the minute timer.
Okay, absolutely.
Camps. Look for heroes on the map.
Absolutely.
If they're showing in waves or not.
Okay.
I feel like I haven't answered the question you asked.
No, those are like, the point is there's a shit ton of things to answer, and you're giving us some of them. But you know, I just want to see how many you can come up with. So the ones you gave are correct. But
think about what the next wave I'm going to farm is after I clear the jungle.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was the one I was going for, but absolutely the other ones are completely relevant. So the idea here is that if you understand what wave you're going to next, the other two really help you understand like what you're going to do when you get there, or like how you're going to get there. So if you look at the minute mark, maybe that'll decide that you kill 2 more cramps before you go there. So it's like, if I know I'm going to go bottom next, it's like, oh, it's 1750, I'm going to clear these ancients first, then I'm going to go bottom. It's like, I know you look to do that, but I'm saying like all the correct decisions revolve around where am I going next. And then if you look at the timing and you look at the heroes on the map, that really tells you, like, what am I going to do during this, all that stuff. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So right now is the perfect time when you're walking from here to bottom to be looking at the map and seeing what's going on, right? I see Mirana, I see Medusa, and we just saw an engagement like 20 seconds ago right here. Right. We just saw this, okay? Like, just to tell you from what we saw in the game. So we also see a Clockwork and a AA showing on a... We saw them. I don't know how, but we saw them. So the point being here is that, do you feel okay, if they were just 4 people mid right now, this is a relatively advanced thought, but you are completely capable of it. So, if there are 4 people mid, this is actually what I learned on Team Runes, by the way. It's an eye-opener, I hope, for you, because it was for me. So, if they're gonna go on you bottom, is that convenient for them? If they were just 4 heroes mid?
No.
No. So, should you pose yourself as a threat bottom? Meaning, like, to kill this tower? Because it's not convenient to kill you, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So, if you don't have the information at this very moment to push this tower, but you also know it is very inconvenient for them to go bottom, what should you do?
Push one more wave and then TP top.
How about we farm near the fucking tower, and if they show somewhere else, we kill the tower. If they don't show somewhere else, you do exactly what you just did.
I see what you're saying. So instead of going back for the Ancients, just kill their hard camp.
You've effectively made what's inconvenient for them not a problem anymore by going to these Ancients. Okay? So it's the exact same thing earlier, like you said, where you're farming. Yes, Ancients are technically more than this hard camp, but it is not enough more to give up any chance of you taking this tower. Like, it's not something where walk up to this tower with no information. That's not what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm saying that they don't want to be here. So farm nearby, because isn't this the time where they just showed mid? 10 seconds from now, they're either showing or they're missing. If they're missing, what do you do?
Run.
You run. If they're showing, what do you do?
You push.
You push. It's very clear decision-making. But you don't know the answer just yet. So in that case, you need to establish, like, the objective you're playing around, which is bottom, right? And then you need to say, if I don't know the information yet, what can I do in the meantime? If they had been gone for, like, 30 seconds at this point, would it be safe to farm this camp?
No.
No. But could you sit in the trees and wait?
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like, at this point, your choice would be to sit in the trees and wait or farm this in the meantime. And that's purely based on how long they've been gone and if you think you're in danger at this very moment, right? It's like, in 10 seconds from now, they can't possibly be bottom. But if 10 seconds from now they're missing, they could be bottom a total of 20 seconds from now, right? Like, they could do that. My point is, as a carry player, nobody thinks about it from the opponent's perspective, including myself, before I learned this lesson. If it is shitty for them to go defend that tower, make them do it without doing it for free. Like, make them bring 3 or 4 heroes. If they're 4-man jungling, so be it. You know, like, meaning, like, if you back off because they're all missing and they're 4-man jungling, like, whatever. But the last thing I want you to do is go farm these Ancients and then them show 4 heroes mid, and you're like, now what? Do I show up to this fight or do I hit a neutral creep? That's the decision that you end up getting left with, potentially, because of this mistake.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, cool.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, great. So just something like that train of thought is the idea that I hope you can take away from that. Okay, so obviously no neutral item at this point. I'm not really paying attention. Maybe it does sometimes happen that you just don't get one. Okay. So I hate to see that Clockwork solo defending that tower. I would love to, like, walk at him, force, like, a reaction, and then, you know, walk away after that. I think you're just giving the opponent too much credit. Okay, so huge stacks in your jungle.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Okay, so you got Vampire Fangs. I personally would value the Essence Ring more this game. Do you know why?
Because the Ice Blast mechanic, where you still gain life.
Yeah, I would have valued that, to be honest with you.
The prize is mine.
Yeah, I don't play with that item much because the offlaner on our team is, like, in love with it. So I never get it.
I see.
But that's not a good excuse.
So, I understand you don't want to confront this Drow and Medusa at this moment, but who's stronger, you or them? At this current
I am stronger than every hero on their team, but I think their team is stronger than my team.
Great. That's actually pretty accurate. So, if that is the case, who has the most influence on what's going on in the game?
Me.
You. So if you farm your own jungle, what's going to happen?
My team's going to die.
How about this? Literally fucking nothing in favor of you. Like, I don't mean... It's either your team's going to feed or absolutely nothing's going to happen. That's like the whole idea of the dead lane concept. The dead lane's not only dangerous, but just nothing happens if you're there. So a lot of
Right.
what dictates if you're the guy farming your own jungle is if you're the guy responsible for making shit happen. Because if you are the guy responsible for making shit happen and you're farming your own jungle, that's just like blasphemy, right? If you had some like really farmed offlaner like a Beastmaster and he's pushing towers, I'm perfectly fine with you playing as efficient as you want to in your own jungle, right? Because shit's going on.
Okay.
I think you and I can both agree that yes, you're stronger, the enemy team is stronger, but you're not content with everyone just hitting creeps in this game, with nothing happening. I don't think you're content with that. And so, if that's the case, what I mean is, yes, you're content to farm because you don't actually want to fight them, but you don't want everyone farming equally. You want yourself farming more aggressively than the opponent. And so your 17-minute decision, or whatever it was, to walk away from bottom has ruined this entirely. Like, the next... It usually takes 4 to 6 minutes-ish to, like, reset the map pressure. Meaning, if you, like, give it up, it kind of takes a long time to get back. So, I want you to think of how important it was that you leaving bottom lane at, like, 17 or 18 minutes, you've had literally no aggression potential for the last, like, 3 or 4 minutes because of it. And I just want that to sink into you and you to process that to yourself, exactly what that will mean for your future decisions, okay? Like, when you're playing your game. Realizing that by leaving bottom, maybe I got an ancient camp instead of a big camp. But God, man, BSJ just told me I couldn't do anything for 3 minutes because of that, right? It's like, was that really worth the extra bit of farm that I got?
Okay.
Apologize for all the background noise. A lot of takeout food coming in hot, so
Unacceptable.
unacceptable. So, see, notice how we're kind of back to where we are. It usually is about 4 to 6 minutes. That's about my estimate. So we force them bottom. Great. In the meantime, oh, you're gonna smoke the roach. That's reasonable. Honestly, force them all bottom. I don't hate it. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Okay. If you force them all bottom, I want you to do something. Your option would be to like TP top and push it out real quick. Maybe like push smoke gang mid or like try to push mid. But your reaction was to roach. Great, fine. Whatever you choose to do with it, as long as you force them bottom and choose to make use of that somehow, great. This to me is pretty insane, but let's see what happens.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And now.
Is under attack. Dire structures are fortified.
Where's the safest part on the map for the opponent team? In general. Radiant.
Their triangle.
Their triangle, and what makes that even safer?
Having a mid tower to TP
Having a
to.
mid-tier 1, right? And so when we have a mid-tier 1, in the triangle area is included this. Okay? Like when we group up the safest part of the map, this is included there. Okay? What's the only thing on your team that exposes that? Like if you take that. If you take it, it exposes this safety of this area right here. You know
Oh,
what
the
I
tier
mean?
1. The
Tier
tier
one.
1 mid.
Well, obviously we're assuming it's no longer safe if that's gone, but what if the tier 1 mid is still there? What exposes this area?
A ward? Big vision? I'm not sure I understand.
So in the current map orientation, if you were to invade this area, where are you coming from?
Either their triangle or from the ramp near the bottom rune.
How are you ever coming from here? Why? Okay. Let's just make this quick. You take the fucking tier 1 bottom. Otherwise, this area is just as safe as the triangle. Because if you take the tier 1 bottom, you're playing like this area, and you can like wrap behind them in like multiple different
Oh,
ways.
okay. Okay, now I understand what you mean.
Okay. So the point is that you're like trying to run before you've even learned to crawl. Like,
Sure.
you're taking the most powerful objective in the safest part of the map for the opponent when you just got the Aegis 30 seconds ago. You're like, okay, guys, I haven't done an aggressive move all game. I've got Aegis.
That's exactly what happened.
I've got Aegis. It's been 15 seconds. I'm ready. That's what you just did right there. Like,
Yeah.
you just went from 0 to like 1,000. Like, you know, on
Yeah.
a scale of 100, you just went from 0 to 1,000. So, like, what I try to tell people and what I've really been preaching in the Aerie sessions continuously has been what the impact of specific places on the map mean to each team, what the level of aggression is required to go somewhere, and how strong you need to feel to go there, and all that kind of shit. And you should never feel strong enough to go here against a hero. Like, isn't Medusa the definition of a hero that, like, sits underneath her mid tower and defends
Yeah,
it?
but, like, if she didn't have buyback, I think we team wiped them right
But,
there.
like...
And I didn't think that she'd have a
dying with
buyback.
Aegis is, like, game-losing shit, right? Like, it's...
Yeah.
What I'm saying
could've
is,
just
if
taken tier
you
ones with
take
it.
this tier 1 and then go mid and it doesn't work, it means it's never going to work. If you do it here, before you take the tier 1, I have no clue if it would have worked otherwise. I have absolutely no clue. Like, because you're taking the statistically less likely way to win this fight.
Yeah.
So, the statistically likely way to win, I have no clue if it would work or not. Absolutely no clue. Like, I just don't know. So what I tell people is there's this formula to Dota in terms of what towers to take. Until you're like 6k, you don't have to worry about exceptions. You just don't. You really don't. Like, the only exception that you will ever come into play is if you win your lane really hard and this tower dies. That's like the only exception. Otherwise, safe lane tier 1, mid tier 1. Bottom tier 2, Roche. Like, that's the order. That's all it is. It should occur that way 85% of games, and even if it could have occurred a different way, in the other 15%, it's not going to make you lose at your bracket to do it that way anyway. It's just not going to like matter. The exception on top of that is usually outside of your control, where it's like you have a Death Prophet mid or a DK mid that like kills the opponent mid tower without you being a part of it. But if both towers are alive and you're now in the game, it's like 90% of the time you're taking bottom tower, not mid. You just have to trust me, play the game that way, and you'll learn all the benefits to it. Like, you'll just learn by doing it. Rather than me try to really go into depth about why it's better, you should just do it with this approach and, like, with the assumption it is optimal. And I think it'll, like, spell itself out for you over a long period of time of experiencing it.
Yeah, I understand how it opens up the map and gives you better access and more camps to farm, for instance.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you can take over the shrine or the outpost and you have another TP spot.
I can't tell you how many people I have come to my sessions saying they know this shit and they just don't fucking do it. Why? Please tell me. Why?
A lot of the times, it's you can only wrangle cats so well, you know? So, like,
aren't these
you
your
can tell
friends?
people No, this is not my friends in this game. This is a solo game.
But you're the guy, like, doing the running, though.
Mm-hmm.
So aren't you, like, the cat here that you can't wrangle? What's going on? You're the one dictating everything. Did your team
Well, if they don't listen, is what I'm saying.
Did your team force a fight mid there?
Yeah, because we were smoked and we saw, like, 3 people mid and I just got the Aegis. So
I'm telling you right now, if you
yeah.
spend 90% of your time on the bottom half of the map, you're not showing up to a fight mid before you take that tier 1 tower.
Okay.
You're just not showing up. Like, if they take fights, let them do their shit. I don't give a shit. Like, if they want a 4-man run at mid, it happens to me all the time in my 6k Smurf shit. Like, I'm like, what is my team fucking doing? Why are they going there? And I'm like, just sitting bottom. I'm like, eventually, guys, you're gonna come bottom. Eventually. In the meantime, I'm gonna have 900 GPM, but in the meantime, please come bottom, you know? But if there's a fight going on mid that looks like some crazy-ass shit like this, I'm never there. I'm just never there. Why am I there? Why would I be there? You know, you are complete... Okay. I want this delusion, excuse me, that everyone in chat has for themselves that I can't wrangle my team. If you are the strongest hero on your team, you're the most farmed hero on your team should never dictate anything. Anything that you do. You should do whatever the fuck you want. Why aren't you bottom, right? Like the games that I'm whining on my stream, I want to be very clear, are the games where my hero's like a drow, and I need my team to play around me to be impactful. Like, I need them to protect me. I need them to help push the tower and shit. You're a fucking Ursa. You're independent as fuck. You farm like crazy. You can do whatever you want on the map as long as you're not like diving enemy base, you know? You can do whatever you want. Your team does not need to help you hit creeps and push lanes. They just don't need to help you. So those are the type of heroes I like to pick at your bracket. Those are the type of heroes that you can win regardless of your teammates. Obviously, if your teammates are playing like dumbasses, what that means for you is that you have to play more disciplined, as well as maybe you have to play better, meaning like you might not win if you die once or twice. Yeah. But my emphasis is, I'm taking my anger out on you, but it's more to like send a message. I'm not actually mad at you. Is that you are in control of this shit. You are. Just stop telling yourself you're not, because you are. Your team did not force you to show up mid there. They did not force you to. You take that Roche and you see bottom lane being pushed, and you know BSJ would tell you that bottom lane needs to be pushed. When I say bottom lane being pushed, the opponent pushed bottom lane into your tier 2. You'd hear BSJ saying, I know that lane needs to be pushed. I know that lane needs to be pushed. So I finish Roche and I'd say, hey guys, I'm pushing bottom. They go mid with that fucking smoke and die. Whatever. They died. Like, you will statistically win more games going bottom doing that. You will. I promise. If you trust, you have the knowledge, clearly. You've actually answered a lot of my questions really well. You understand what I'm going for and what I want you to know. And I believe that you can... I'm not just saying... I am trying to balance my harshness with the fact that I do believe this, that you can do it. So I want to see it now. You know, I know you can. I want you to prove to me and to yourself that you can keep your eye on the prize. You know, I am the fucking prize. This is what matters. This is where I want to play. Those are the games I fucking win, man. I'm telling you. When I tilt and I do what you're doing here, I lose, man. I do. I really do lose. I am not above this. I lose games this way. I am not perfect. People will watch me do games like this and they'll be like, BSJ, I wish you could listen to your own coaching. And it's like, me too. You know, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do this every single game. But
yeah, I definitely feel like when I'm owning, I just kind of lose the mindfulness of when I'm not owning, you know?
I see.
And I've lost a lot of games where there's like no way in hell I should have lost the game.
Absolutely. And man, that's a big part of MMR, is losing games that should not be losable. Or that you had complete control of whether or not you lost, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have another point? I might have interrupted you there.
I don't think so.
I will simply say, if the opponent's tier 1 bottom is alive at 27 minutes against Medusa, you probably fucking lost.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
You probably fucking lost. What are the odds of a Medusa participating in defending that tier 1 bottom at 15 minutes prior, or 15 minutes early?
Nothing. Like,
what are the odds of her participating in a teamfight bottom at 28 minutes?
None.
At 28 minutes, Medusa participating in a fight at her own tower. What are the odds of it?
I mean, it's higher than it was.
It's very fucking high, bro. She's a hero that defends her own towers. That's what she does. But at 15 minutes and earlier, she is way too weak and way too busy farming to do this. Her farming's over. She's ready to do her job as a hero. That's defending towers. When you deal with heroes like Medusa and Tinker mid, and you don't take their safe lane tower at 10 minutes, you're never fucking getting it, man. You are never getting it. You're literally never gonna get it. That's the sense of urgency that these heroes put on you. The heroes that don't rotate at all, that don't want to participate in the game, you have to punish it as best you can. You have to. I just want that sense of urgency to be ingrained in you. Please, watch your own games. And, I've been taught these lessons too. If I don't take that safe lane tower against a Tinker prior to his Boots of Travel blink, we're never fucking getting that tower, dude. We're never getting it. We're not going to get that tower. And the way you deal with these heroes is by taking the towers that they're meant to defend before they're ready to defend them. That's how you do it. And if in the meantime, maybe you're not getting the tower, but in your farming patterns, you're forcing 3 of their heroes to defend bottom while you're farming, then at this point in the game, maybe the Medusa has a shit ton of net worth, but nobody else on her team does. So that might actually be surmountable, right? That might actually be a problem you can deal with. At that point, all you have to do is itemize against Medusa. But if suddenly you're itemizing against Medusa and the 2 supports both have Yule Scepters or something, and you're like, well, I try to go on Medusa, and during my ult I just get Yules, well, shit. You know? It's that's where the game gets really hard.
That happens this game. Yeah. I asked the puck to go on the AA because it has a Yules, and I know it's the only item that's not affected by status resist.
Yeah, I've talked about that one a lot. So, it's nice of them to make, yes, you want to fight. The first fight that went well, where did it happen? Great. Perfect. We're taking notes. Yeah, we're taking notes. Cool. Moving on here. We're going to wrap this one up so we make sure we get to your other one with a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, basically the Drow just got too big and it was too hard to get to her without being used or, Gusted, frozen in place, cogs away.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And
Radiant's
the Medusa was never really a problem except for we had to run through her ult to do anything.
Yeah, she
Got buyback and then
very defensive, right?
yeah.
Okay, how much does this tier 2 matter?
It doesn't matter at all.
What do you take before the tier 2?
Roshan.
Okay,
but I don't
moving on
think
to the
it's
next game.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a
It's
super
game
hard,
losing.
That's super hard throw number 2. So let's leave it there. Cool. You know these things. I'm not gonna bother spending any more of your money spent on those. Okay, cool. Let me take this time. Obviously, I'm gonna send the lesson. I'm going to eat an empanada real quick. Let's see. Where are they? Where are my empanadas? Oh. Did she take all the empan? Okay, that's my avocado. Oh, there they are. Cool. Okay. So in this game, just to remind everybody, you said that you won, but you did poorly in the lane. So in this game, you're the Spectre. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense. Ursa, strong laner, quite the game thrower, if given the spot to do so. While Spectre, not so much of a strong laner. Not terrible, but not so strong. And much more of a, recovery hero. So kind of makes sense.
And Kenny's the normal 5 on my team, so feel free to flame him too.
Right on. Will do. I will educationally bash him as well. Okay.
your turn to battle. Prepare for battle.
So I went for the Soul Ring Rush, and
If you're going to go Soul Ring, I think you almost certainly make this the Ring of Regen. 3 strength just doesn't do anything for you.
Okay.
You're 760 health instead of 700. I don't really see what that does for you. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So definitely, if you're going to do this, I would say Ring of Regen. I've seen people do it, so I'm not going to flame it. Like, I've seen it.
Yeah, I like it more than the Necro Book, even though the Necro Book helps you
30
farm
seconds
faster.
to battle.
I'm not sure which one's actually better. I've tried both, and I just felt more comfortable with the Soul Ring.
I'm going to tell you right now, I've watched a lot of Spectres, and I've also played a decent amount of Spectre. I never fucking win this hero, so I'm going to talk to you about what I know about what other people do. When it comes to your decision between Soul Ring and Necro Book, that's completely up to you at this point. I've seen other players do it. I've tried both. I don't fucking win with this hero.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that both of them are reasonable, but it's up to you after your own experience in that case. Like, you can choose one. I don't think that's a problem. As long as I see your item builds are reasonable and you have an idea behind them, I don't really care much past that. I don't want to take away individualism or your own decisions. And like the case of the Manta versus SNY thing, that's different, right? Because it's just like, I think one's strictly worse than the other. In the last game. Okay.
Didn't click on it to see.
Yeah,
if
I was just seeing what happened there. I fast forwarded a bit too fast here, so. Okay. Nice passive watch sit there. Okay. So when the lane's pushing you in, do you like this? Where there's like a lot more enemy creeps than there are yours. I like to drag one creep at a time into my tower range. Like right now, for instance.
Okay.
It makes it so when the creeps are dying and shit is much more in your control, and it's much more predictable for you. Like if you drag this creep in and you say, oh, it's going to get hit by the tower once and I'm going to kill it. Then I'm going to walk over and kill this one. After this one's dead, I'm going to drag this one into tower range and it's going to get killed and I'm going to kill it. Like, you're dictating the order in which creeps are dying. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It makes it much easier for you to CS. Would you agree? Like, if you know exactly what creeps are going to die and shit? So, this isn't something I've actually mentioned very often. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it in a coaching session before. And maybe the first time I've ever actually had to vocalize it. But controlling exactly what creep's going to die and win is really helpful in these type of lanes where he minus armors your creep wave. Your creep wave is going to die. You don't really want to be here. right? Like, you don't want to be up here. You want to be kind of like farming
Yeah.
passively. You know what I'm saying? This is like
I was actively trying to keep the creep wave outside of tower because I was having I missed like 2 creeps under tower.
I understand
because my damage
that,
was
and
low.
so what I'm going to tell you is I knew that was kind of going to be one of your responses. I really did know that.
Okay.
You actually just need to learn how to farm under tower in these type of cases, because this is the only solution to this problem.
Okay.
Because what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to push this lane out over them, right? They have overwhelming odds from Legion, and they have W from Venge, right?
Yeah.
So no matter what you fucking do here, the creeps are going into your tower.
Yeah.
Okay? So in my way, you're controlling 1 creep at a time that goes into your tower, and you're killing them. Your
Okay,
way,
that makes a lot of sense.
you're trying to avoid it happening, and it's going to happen. you know what I mean? Yeah, so this is like you're seeing the effect of it here, right? All these creeps are dying randomly. You're like, ah, shit, and then you miss like 3 of them. Okay. Okay. Should ask your Bane to salary for sure. This guy's a noob.
I think he does.
Okay, cool.
And I dodged a wave.
Nice dodge. Okay. So. He wants to chase there. Okay.
Yeah, I told him to play more aggressively on Bane because I felt like a lot of times he wasn't playing in front of me enough. So this game, I think he's just like doing it max.
Okay. So what he needs to understand... Whoops. Where are we at? What he needs to understand and what you guys need to understand is mentality as a carry, as a support. Everyone in the safe lane. Dual lane, working together. Once he salves you, is this engagement between you and them over? Is it done? Like, once Kenny salves you, would you say that the fight between you and the opponents is over? Like...
No, because he's still low.
Well, what I mean by over, like, you just had this back and forth skirmish where enemy heroes you guys have been hitting each other for like 30 seconds, and you killed the Legion, and they've been trading. Is that over?
It is over currently until the Legion's back in lane.
So when it's over, what should be your first and foremost thought?
Pull because the lane's gonna push.
Okay, lane equilibrium. That should be immediately like snap back to reality. Whoops, there goes gravity. No, I'm kidding. But my point is, the engagement's over. You got to kill. I told this in my area coaching session. Same thing. Immediately need to shift your attention to what is now happening in lane. Immediately. Yeah. Like, I was gonna tell him earlier, but he's actually like chasing after a kill. Fine. Like, he wants to choose to go for that. I'm not even gonna stop him. This engagement's over. Immediate reshift and focus back to what's important. Like, when a fight's over in the mid game, 20 minutes in, what is your immediate focus?
What objective to take?
Yeah, what objective can you take? What lane am I going to push otherwise? All that kind of shit. Respawn times, how long do I have? What am I going to do? Game plan for the next 30 seconds, right? So it's like, at this stage, same thing, but it's lane equilibrium. That's all that matters. So this whole meandering bullshit that he's going to do and stick around with you is exactly what makes him 2K. Okay? Like, this, or 3K, whatever. This shit is exactly what, like, whatever this fucking is. I don't know what this is. What is this? What is happening? Why are we 2 heroes sitting here doing nothing? Why isn't he just over there pulling? Why are we still fighting here? Let yourself recover a bit. He can pull. You're on a tower. You don't want to continuously fight here. Like, you're a carry. That's Spectre. You're not Ursa. You want the lane to be pulled into your tower as much as possible because you're just like, what would you say the strengths of Spectre in lane are?
He has high HP regen.
Absolutely. I don't care. Wait. Yeah, Collie's like trying to send me some subliminal messages here. Sorry. So my point is, yes, she has high HP regen. So
and she can escape most.
Absolutely.
Ganks.
So she wants to be primarily chilling, maybe taking some trades, and then regen up and do it again, right?
Yeah.
She's not like Ursa, where she's like a constant brawler and wanting to like run at the guy. So you need to like think about that. Your support needs to think about that and play accordingly. Anytime that a hero like Spectre can just chill under a tower farming while her support's pulling and she's getting solo XP, that's like the dream. That's absolutely the dream. So, why we're trying to like force a fight between you and Legion If I'm the offlaner, do I want you to fight me instead of farm?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, why the fuck are you giving him what he wants willingly? That's like how I think about it. Okay.
Dire's middle
Moving
tower
on. I got a
is
nice
under
snippet
attack.
out of here. This thing's good.
Is it savory or sweet?
Savory for sure.
Nice.
Obviously unfortunate that your courier died, but
Ugh.
What sort of pride?
They didn't even have a ward. I thought they did. She was just there for some reason. I think she was trying to stop a pull that wasn't happening and just.
yeah, your
Killing the
Bane
courier.
5-headed him there.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
We got a courier kill back, so it feels a little better.
Double kill.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I can't have you, no one.
Visibility.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
When you're not farming in this lane, why?
Because I'm afraid.
Of what?
A rotation from probably their mid.
Okay, like, who's the primary hero that affects your farming rate right now?
The Legion.
Okay.
And the wing, yeah. And she's dead, so I should be up with the wave.
So, you've been playing, like, super aggressively on the wave, for the most part. Even when it's, like, killing you. And you're telling me the time that the guy's dead, you're just gonna sit back under your tower picking up items? Like, what the fuck, bro? There's a whole creep wave for you to hit here. That guy just died.
I guess I was just afraid the Venge was off map, so I had like the
Dude.
analysis
Dude,
paralysis of getting my
be-
courier sniped.
Let's be like straight up here, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're not afraid of anything right now. If you're afraid of your courier, then just sit in the trees, bro. Like, come on. I'm only calling you on this shit because you're full of it. Like, come on, dude. The guy's dead. This guy's dead. What the fuck could possibly go wrong here?
All right.
You could be 300 health and nothing's gonna go wrong here. What's more important, getting your items from the courier or 4 creeps?
4 creeps.
Can't you get your items when this guy's alive? Like, isn't that why you need items, right?
Yeah.
Because this guy's alive. So, every time I tell people this, you're probably going to be like, I already heard this, BSJ. When I kill people, what were they stopping me from doing? Now what can I do?
Killing creeps.
Right? That's exactly what I do when they're dead. It's that simple. I ask myself, what were they stopping? It makes it real easy for me to then do it. Like, it makes it very obvious to me, like, what I want to do because they're dead. Right? Yeah, moving on. If they weren't stopping me from doing anything, then what do I do while they're dead?
The same thing you were doing when they were alive?
Wow! Great answer. Continuing. That's an example where you're like absolutely free farming and you just killed the offlaner who's like 2 levels behind you. It's like, now that he's dead, now what? Oh, I'm just gonna continue doing what I just did. Okay.
Dire's courier has been killed. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Are fortified.
This will come in handy.
So as a Spectre, at this stage in the game, do you want to be played around or not?
No.
Okay, then why are you is your friend support player sitting on your dick the entire time?
I do not know. I didn't tell him to leave, so maybe.
Okay, so let's just think about this from a support player's perspective. Like, this is me, bashing him in an educational way. Every carry is different. If I'm a drow and I'm in lane, I probably want you babysitting me. If I'm a Spectre and I'm in lane, I want you to fuck off. If I'm a Slark in lane, I want you to fuck off. When do I want you to come back? If I'm these heroes.
If there's a 3-man gank.
Maybe like a quick kill, or maybe to save me. But 90% of the time, I want you to fuck off. So this guy needs to realize that. Every carry is different. How do they want to be handled 11 minutes into the game? If Bane sits top with you, where's all the fighting gonna happen?
Top.
Okay. So why the fuck is he here? Do you want that? I don't want that. Do you want Jug free farming bottom 1v1 while you get fucked with by 3 heroes? No.
No.
That's not what we want. And by Bane sitting here, it implies you're going to have that happen every single time. Why would they not do that? Right? Like, if they fight away from the Spectre, that's exactly what you want.
Right.
Like, why would they do that? They also have, like, a hero they can fuck with, right? The Bane or whatever. So that's the emphasis I want to give about him. As a carry player, you can tell your supports this, especially if they're friends. You know, like, you can be like, hey, man, I don't want you to play around me. Go bottom, give me a ward or something. You know, like, he already gave you a ward. Great, go bottom.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's not complicated. Almost every support player could know this if they actually took 2 seconds of the game to think about it. But they just don't. They don't know what to think about. And that's fine. Like, they just don't. But once they've been brought to their attention a single time that they can treat every single carry differently, they should do it. They should start to do it. They should make a guess. Like, this is the support side of it. So if he's listening, if anyone else is a support who's listening, every single carry is different. It's just that simple.
I do have a small efficiency question for you.
Yeah.
Oftentimes with treads, I'll take the Elven skin instead of the Ogre Strength. Do you think that's the correct play in this game? Because I was having problems last hitting. Like, do you
Probably because it also makes your EHP higher, so the regen you're getting is better. You have like 1 more armor, so when you're hitting neutrals, like neutrals don't care about your strength, they care about your physical resistance. So you actually go ring at Tarask.
I don't know if I like this, but I felt that I needed it at the time when I bought it, and then it kind of didn't.
I'd say the answer is that because of what Bane's doing and because you're okay with it, there's way more happening top than should be.
Okay.
And so the solution to the problem you're experiencing should be playstyle change rather than itemizing to deal with your problem. Do you see what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Like, if you end up in a situation where you're having sustain issues or whatever, and you feel like this situation is unavoidable, then that's solved by items. Right, like that's when I'll usually go for a weird item that I think I need to make do with what I got. But if the situation you're in could just be changed, then just change it. You know what I mean?
Because I definitely noticed like how much slower my radiance was this game.
Yeah, it'll that's like for me. You're itemizing based on what's happening, but it shouldn't be happening. And you could actually guide him as well as, you know... If my support insists on playing top in a game like this, it's like the Terrorblade game I played 2 days ago or whatever. I left lane at fucking level 4, dude. I just left. I'm like, I don't want my support playing around me. This just sucks. Like, this sucks. So I just left. You know, Spectre's not quite the same because you can't jungle at level 4. But maybe at level 6 or 7, you could do that.
That was really bad of me. I should have thrown the dagger and then responded.
You say you watch my sessions. What do you think my response to that's going to be?
You agree with what I just said?
Why the fuck is my Spectre sitting casually around where the fights are going to happen and then being a part of them instead of hitting creeps?
Yeah, I should be hitting creeps away from fights. Not...
So, in this case, ideally speaking, your fights aren't going to happen top, right?
Yeah.
But if the fights based on what your team is, what the opponent team is doing, are top, what are you doing?
Going bottom?
You're just leaving. I don't care where you go, you leave, right? It's like if you're Ursa and you're ready to battle while you're farming, then you should farm in the spots of the map where fights are happening. And then you can fight them. But like if I'm in farm mode, it's simply put, am I happy to be a part of fights or am I not? And then where are fights going to happen? But actually, let's think about this. Based on your lineup and theirs, what team is pressured to do something?
Their team.
Okay, so based on our understanding of Dota that you actually know, you clearly know, and let's apply it, where are the fights going to happen?
In our safe lane.
So where should you be?
Lane. In the off lane.
Okay, first game of the day. We were farming. Didn't really want to participate in fights. The opponent had Drow Medusa. Where are fights going to happen if they happen?
In the safe lane.
Their safe lane. Not yours. They're not doing anything. They're a Drow Medusa. They're not doing anything. Yeah. Do you see the difference
towers.
here? They're defending towers. So the fights are never happening top. So you staying top is great. because you're wanting to farm, and no fight's going to happen there. Because you're the do shit hero on your team, and the enemy team isn't a team that pushes or like is on a timer, so they're not going to go there. So this is why I tell people there's exceptions and shit, but it's most important to understand the implications of what each lane mean to both teams. Like, you know? So if you think to yourself, like every game, almost every time, Blitz actually uses this shit, and he always quotes me. It's like, you know, tickles my fancy or whatever. We're on these casts, and he'll be like, you know, BSJ always says that one team feels the need to do something at all times. Almost always one team wants something done. Right. And all you have to do is establish which team that is, and if we understand the dead lane and what every lane means to each team, you'll know what lane that is. Like, you'll know. You'll really, like, based on what I'm saying, isn't it, like, really obvious that the fights are happening top, right? So I gave this exact description of this in one of my games. I don't remember when. It was, like, yesterday or the day before. But you can dictate whether or not you're participating in fights purely by what lane you're farming. Like, if you are farming your triangle/bottom, you won't be a part of any single fight this entire game. Like, for the first 20 minutes of the game. You won't be a part of any single fight. If your team is like Beastmaster, you know, I'm just using Beastmaster as the stereotypical offlane pushing hero, and like a DK mid and they're like running at bottom, that's where all the fights are going to happen. So in that case, you play around top, right? Like, yeah, what's causing fights to happen? Where is it going to happen? What team's trying to make them happen? Yada, yada, yada. Do I want to be there? And then farm accordingly. Long story. Okay, moving on.
Dire structures are fortified. Dire's top tower.
The good old TP to the dead lane in a game where it's not good, and then spend your entire time running away, and the entire team fought around you. And you're like, now what?
Radiant's bottom.
That's just not your tower to defend, bro. It's just not.
Yeah.
Should your team defend it? Maybe. Is it your job? No. Like, there's games where I'll say, guys, like, I can't take this farm, or like, that's not me. And that's like why I'm saying it. So you're kind of hearing like an inner monologue of why. All of that is because of what I said earlier. The only exception is like, if what? Like, the reason why you're not going top is why. Why are you not going top? Why did I tell you it's bad to be top?
Because they want to play in that lane.
So when is it okay this game for you to go top?
When they're all showing in another lane.
Great. That is exactly correct.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Has fallen. Haste!
Your knowledge is above your MMR. I just need to see it reflected in your play. Like, that's all it boils down to in this session, from what I've seen so far.
See you later, nerd.
I'd say there's like everyone's a bit different. Some of my people come into my session clearly having absolutely no knowledge of any of this. And their mechanics are really efficient and all that kind of shit. And they're just not thinking about what needs to be done. You clearly have a pretty good idea and you know what to think about. You're just not applying it in a meaningful way.
I also picked 2 games that were very poor.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, even on heroes that I'm not that great at, I've gotten way better in general at playing heroes I'm not that great at, because my general understanding of the map is just good.
Gotcha.
Like, just now I played Shadow Demon. I haven't played Shadow Demon in like a year. I used to feed miserably on Shadow Demon. Like, I know for a fact I used to have no idea what I was fucking doing on Shadow Demon. I really had no clue for the most part, button pressing wise, team fight wise, what to do on Shadow Demon, like in terms of what order and like instincts and stuff. But I knew that it would be great for me to be pushing bottom because I know my Enigma doesn't want to be there, and I know that like that lane needs to get pushed, and Troll can't really stop me because if he goes on me, I just disrupt him and walk away. And I know that that's a great place to put myself, and it made the game really easy to play. And I've not played Shadow Demon for a year, right? So my point is that even if you're unfamiliar in the game, even if like whatever's happening, you're playing a new hero, whatever, you can always apply this shit. You always can. And it'll make the game so much easier. It'll make it so much easier to play. Like, it just feels so straightforward. You may still lose, like, absolutely. You'll still lose games, no question. But, like, you'll never find yourself wondering, why the fuck am I here? Or, like, why did I die there? You know, like, that was just dumb or whatever. You'll never find yourself doing that, okay? That's the instances we're trying, like, why am I at this fight? You know, like, that's the question you might find yourself asking in this game. I just think there's a lane bottom to be farmed, and if you were at that fight just now, the beauty of Spectre is she doesn't farm very fast. But she can be anywhere on the map farming. and still participate in fights.
Yeah.
So that's where her efficiency comes in, because her positioning on the map doesn't require her to be ready to fight based on it at all. She can just push R. She's suddenly there. I've seen you actually at the start of every fight. Like, you've literally been there when the fight starts. Like, that's just not Spectre, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, why are you playing Spectre? Might as well just play Ursa. Okay.
Ursa got banned.
Fair enough. You know, somebody asked me, isn't Lifestealer just a worse version of Ursa? And I'm like, yeah, I think Lifestealer is pretty good, but that's pretty accurate. Ursa was banned this game. That's what I think.
Yeah.
It literally happened. That happened like
We both
5
picked Ursa 4th, and I picked Spectre.
Oh, I see. That's good. That is pretty funny, actually. Yeah, so super late Radiance, obviously, a lot of reasons we've talked about. It's hard to quantify the inefficiency caused by playing the wrong part of the map, but it's just creeps you're not killing during the random time of just skirmishing and all that kind of crap. So we're finally getting some time to ourselves. We're about to wrap it up here, making sure if you have any questions before we do.
No, I think it's really just I need to figure out better ways to apply what I know while I'm playing. And part of that is definitely camera control.
Giving yourself the proper knowledge is a pretty important thing to, or proper information, excuse me.
Yeah.
Is a pretty important thing towards doing these things that you say you're capable of, and I think you are. You know, at this stage in the game, you're against Sniper, you're against super squishy support heroes, and you're a Spectre. You're gonna push R, you're winning, and once you push R, 2 other heroes die, and the game's pretty straightforward. So, the beauty of it is you've made it to this point great. It kind of seems like, with all due respect, your mid laner kind of just carried you.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing is that you do seem to think a lot about what items you're like, okay, I needed this item for this situation. Felt like I needed it. I want you to continue rolling with that, but I think I want you to first and foremost, like, the first thing is, could my play have fixed this? And if not, that's when items really come into play. True understanding of items is like, this is how I have to play the game. These are the problems I'm facing. Now fix them, right? Like, I have to play this way, you know? It's like if the enemy team's forcing me to fight, maybe I can't go Radiance. I have to go Diffusal or Blade Mail or, you know, whatever. I'm on Spectre specifically.
Right.
But, like, if you felt like you could have avoided fights better, then after the game, you should have been like, God, I should have built a Blade Mail. I was fighting so much. It's like, no, you should have just avoided them, right? That's an example of what I mean. So, this is a bit weird that you're at this fight, but even then, like, at this stage in the game, when you're ahead and your team's fighting and you don't have Haunt, that's when you can choose whether or not you want to be at fights. I would just say that in general, if you're playing a hero like Spectre, pretty much try to force fights if you do have Haunt. If not, kind of tell your team to chill. At your bracket, I think it's pretty safe to say, until like 30 minutes plus, 40 minutes plus maybe, that as Spectre, you should never be at a fight unless you're haunting into it, or you have an Aegis, like one of those two things. Because if you have an Aegis, you're obviously hitting the tower. If not, you're kind of just farming. There are exceptions to this, right? Like, you will see in high-level Dota a Spectre without ult that's at fights or whatever. It just doesn't matter in your bracket. The majority of the time, you should just wait until you have your ult and then do it. You'll just win more games that way. It's, like, fundamentally sound. You'll get in the habit of doing the right thing, which is usually to wait for your ult. And then maybe in some games, you'll be like, oh, I didn't actually have to wait for my ult here, and you'll start noticing those. But at your bracket, looking for those exceptions and those exact situations will usually get you killed or, like, throw the game more often than it'll actually squeak out that little bit of efficiency that's going to win you the game or whatever. Like, squeaking out that little bit of efficiency is important in my bracket. It's not important in yours. Like, getting down the fundamentals, really getting used to all this stuff that you've talked about, playing the map right. Obviously, you're coming back, so you're getting back into the groove of Dota. You're playing a new position.
I mean, I've been playing again for a while now. But...
Well, my point is, though, that even then, like, if you took 8 months off, that takes at least 8 months to get back, and to get back to maybe where you were, and then you're in a new position. So it's like, I'm not trying to validate, you know, your struggles. I'm just trying to say that, like, it's not exactly easy. I want you to do one thing at a time, and coming out of this session immediately, camera work needs to be your number one.
Okay.
Once you feel like your camera work is answering the questions that you need to ask yourself, start working on getting that question down every time. Every time I get a kill, what am I doing? Every single time, I need my courier. Am I prioritizing this CS over that? Whatever. Like priorities, getting those in check. Where a fight's going to happen, do I want to be a part of them? If I'm farming, am I looking to force fights or am I looking to dodge? Am I looking to force towers or am I looking to prevent them from getting our towers? Are you the Drow Medusa or are you the Ursa? What are you? Any final questions before we call it?
I don't think so.
Cool, man. If you have any final questions, like you forgot and whatever, feel free to come over the weekend or whatever. Or send me a message over the weekend and let me know. So,
cool.
Have a good one, man.
Yeah, thanks. Tell Breaky I said hi, and I've been enjoying your podcast too.
Will do, man. Sounds good. Nice guy. I enjoyed letting him have it a bit. Let's go ahead and stop hearing Bane Fiendsburg for a bit.